Joy, you must be absolutely thrilled that your book, From Whole to Whole, Embracing the Transformational Power of Grief and Loss, has now been published. How do you feel?
I'm absolutely delighted. I really am. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been quite a journey the last 9 months in writing it and creating it and doing the research for it, and all that comes into having to focus on something so, intently. And of course, then when it goes to the editors and the printers and the copywriting and it's published. So yes, it's a really good feeling to have it in my hands.
And
Yeah,
you've had some fantastic reviews.
I really have. It's been wonderful. Exactly what my heart intent has been. It's been received in that way, and on many levels, the people are finding it really helpful and useful to them, and that's exactly what I'd hoped for.
And you
Yeah,
achieved Amazon bestseller status when you did your Kindle promotion.
yeah, yeah. And again, another unexpected experience. It's been fantastic. Yeah, it's
I,
wonderful to get that
I
feedback.
imagine that one of the first questions that people ask is what inspired you to write the book?
Yes, yes. Well, it was my own experience, my own grief journey when my son died suddenly and unexpectedly 2 years ago, in October 2018. As you know, that going through grief is a very personal experience, and everybody has their own journey. It's a spectrum of emotions that's involved with grieving, and because my way of coping is to read and research and understand what's happening to me, I had other grief experiences, of course, in the past, and my mum, my dad, and my brother and friends. But this one was particularly, unwanted and unexpected. So, in taking time out to grieve healthily, I made lots of discoveries and unexpected things as well. So that went into my consciousness, and I thought, this might be of help to other people. So the book came out of the feeling that I needed. I was quite compelled to write it. Mm.
How difficult was it to write about something so intensely personal?
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was times when I did feel very vulnerable, and that I had exposed myself. But having said that, I felt that that was necessary in order to help others, so them going through their own grief process understand that trauma, it is emotional trauma when we have that kind of loss. And people think of physical trauma, but they don't realize that actually grief is an emotional trauma. So it was important that I felt that I was able to explain the different complexities of grief in that way. Yeah.
What's the most common question you get asked when people are grieving? You were talking about commonalities of the grief process,
Mm.
but what's the most common question that people ask you? And what's the answer?
Well, usually it's how am I going to cope? How am I going to manage? How can I keep going without this person, this significant person that they love in their life? A lot of history apart from the attachment of the emotional attachment and care and love, and missing them in that way. It's not having them in the life anymore. It is a feeling that there is a hole, that literally is a hole. There's a big gap, and that often feel right at the start, and for however long it takes, how they're going to be able to get through and live their lives without them being in it. Mm.
And what's the answer?
Well, there's no one size fits all, unfortunately, but what we can do is understand what is happening. And that's another purpose of my writing the book, was to bring some education really about what grief is about, and to bring it out into the open as a subject. And the more we understand, the more then we are able to deal with things. So building resilience building inner strength, being able to cope, finding ways to cope, which is what I do in each of the sections of the book. Each chapter at the end, I offer suggestions and techniques that will help people to build that strength and awareness and understanding. And that's the way of getting through, really. And for some, it might take months, weeks for some, but months for others, and years even. And obviously that it helps to be able to be and to understand what at least are going through is not unusual. It's actually quite normal. This, kaleidoscope of emotional ranges that they will experience.
And you've developed a range of courses based on understanding the complexity of grief. Can you tell us a bit more about those?
Yes, the purpose of it being called that is because when people experience trauma, it's how the brain responds to the impact of this unexpected and unwanted news. So on the neural pathways of the brain that picks up the information, it's attached to the emotion, and the emotion then is attached to the physiology of our body, and then we, really experience it. So we do experience sleeplessness, we do experience lack of concentration, we do experience, unexpected and unwanted emotional responses. That's triggers to things. So I felt the first place to start to help is to offer a 2-hour session in bringing that awareness and knowledge into what, grief and how it might impact themselves or support members of their family and friends, because there's a lot of protection that goes on around grief. People feel uncomfortable about talking about it because they don't want to upset each other and distress each other. So it would be a great thing to be prepared, even if it hasn't happened to you, that you will be able to understand what might be happening to a friend or family, how to support them appropriately, but also should it do happen to you, you might have a better understanding. Yeah, so that I do the personal one, but I also do one for businesses along the same theme. It's a training so that directors, managers, people that are working in teams or have got employees and staff, that if a member of the business experiences grief, that it's not something that you get over very quickly. So my meaning in doing that is to help to understand that it just doesn't stop at the funeral. It doesn't stop after a session, maybe what's offered as an employer's assistance program, which is fantastic. But for a lot of people, grief takes them through a while. And for some, it's not at that stage at the start. It is a few months down the line, and they might be getting distressed and stressed, which is part of the hypervigilance and hypertension that goes on with grief. And they're off sick then, so it's to help understand that this is normal too, and to support them appropriately is actually cost effective, and it really does help managers to be able to budget and plan into how they're going to support their staff appropriately during that period of time. Yeah. And the other course, the final course, at the moment, is a 10-session course, and that one is going through the resilience, my resilience program that's written in the book. Each chapter is a topic, so each week, each session will be addressing that topic, and that one's a very nurturing, very caring, very safe sort of environment to be. That's it's intended to help anyone through their own grief process, to inform as well, and to be able to talk about it if they want to, but they will get more individual attention from me, and that also includes a Facebook group, a private Facebook group that they can join and get support during the week between sessions, and I'll be dropping in with extra support and resources, and hopefully be able to support each other as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Viewers can find out more about your book, From Whole to Whole, Embracing the Transformational Power of Grief and Loss, and also all of your courses on your website, which is www.wholetowhole.com. joysackettwood.com, and that's Sackett with 2 T's. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.